I'd like to start our time together by inviting the president for the Week of Prayer for World Peace, Reverend Dr. Indrajit Bogle, to start the meeting. This is our fourth online gathering. Indrajit.
Thank you, Sue. Hi, greetings to you all. I greet you in the name of Christ and wish upon you the peace and blessings of God. Thank you all very much. I would imagine, looking at everybody on the screen, you've got about three or four other things you should be doing now, or you could be doing now, but you've chosen to be here, and that's really great. Thank you. I'm honored to be president of the Week of Prayer for World Peace, and I want to wish the meeting well. I thank you to everybody who's put together this fantastic resource. I used it this morning in worship as I introduced our work, and I used a prayer which I will use as part of my opening. Can I just say we meet in the context of um, incredible conflict in many different parts of the world. I don't need to outline it all. You keep in touch with the news, but we are in a bad spot globally. I personally, as you can imagine, do not support war as a way to resolve conflict. I'm committed to supporting and upholding non-violent means to resolve conflict in any context, local, national, international, domestic, whatever you have in mind. We have to look at non-violent ways and words and means of resolving conflict. For me, war is out of date, outmoded, unaffordable way to resolve conflict. It obliterates life. It cannot restore the right to life. And violence of war in the interest of peace is a contradiction. War uses the very means it opposes. Um, it has no place in my mind. Um, Sadly, war has been prevalent in many parts of the world, while there is no adherent of any faith that can rightly claim God to be on their side. And there's no such thing as a holy war or a humanitarian war. Um, uh, God does not desire anyone to harm or hurt anyone. All people are precious to God, children of God. Everyone is sacred, and taking a life is an assault on on divinity. So I, like you, am committed to, in my own modest way, to work for and long for a world of fair trade, um, a world of non-violence, where we shall learn war no more, no more, where we stop building weapons and arms and stop the escalation of the arms trade and turn weapons into instruments of healing. I know you're committed to that, and I am, and I feel greatly encouraged that there are good people like you out there. Thank you for all you do, all the strength of God to you, and I'm sure we'll have a wonderful meeting. So, a quick prayer to use from here to finish my opening words. It's day two from a Venezuelan refugee. I think it's a good prayer for today. God, please protect those who have fled their homes, especially children, the elderly, and people who are disabled, as they are amongst the most vulnerable. We ask in your name to restore all communities, to reunite families, and to repair this world. Amen.
As Indrajit has said, we are in a situation that certainly we did not think of less than 8 days ago. And I thought it would be useful just to look back 49 years to the start of the Week of Prayer for World Peace. It is so sad that the words written then could have been written today. I will not read you the whole thing, but only the opening paragraph of the original proposal. In the turmoil of a world increasingly dominated by violence and characterized by bewilderment and confusion created by the apparent impotence of man to alleviate suffering caused by injustice, except by more recourse to violence, it seems to be that an unprecedented spiritual initiative is urgently required. The Anglican Pacifist Fellowship, therefore, wishes to commend the idea of a World Week for Prayer for Peace. Our prayer to start today was received earlier this week from the Mennonite Center in Berlin. May the one who comforts hold all those grieving and traumatized and frightened for however long it takes. May the one who releases the captive release all those caught and bound. May the one who makes peace illuminate paths of peace for those seeking only paths of violence and vengeance. May the one who loves justice fortify us to reinforce our solidarities with all those who share our vision of peace and dignity for all people. May the one who knows hope instill in us the confidence to imagine wholeness, safety, and freedom for all people. May the one who we need to be there for us as we waver and struggle, as we are confused and uncertain until we find solid ground again. May the one who remembers allow us to hold in one hand 75 years of occupation, dispossession, and violence, and in the other, a future of peace, justice, and freedom. May the one of possibility remind us the future of peace with justice is possible. May the one who awakens us to life hold us in our pain and vindictiveness until we set those down for the sake of life. May the one who endures allow us to act for the sake of the coming generations. May the one who is without limit expand our senses of what is possible as we reach for justice, freedom, and peace for all. May the one who knows life is precious help us to affirm life is precious. May the one who grants peace, goodness, blessing, grace, loving kindness, and mercy grant them now, no matter how undeserving we are. The traditional opening of our gatherings comes from the World Peace Flame, and Jen will now read this prayer for us and then give us a brief update on the peace pathway. Jen.
On behalf of the World Peace Flame Foundation, I have the great privilege today to read the prayer of thanks for all faith traditions. If it's comfortable for you, I invite you to please close your eyes and allow yourself to feel into the depth of these words. We give thanks for those of every faith tradition, named or unnamed, for the variety and richness of human spirituality, for our common quest for truth and our yearning for love, our longing for peace and our commitment to justice. Thank you. The Peace Pathway was inaugurated in 2018 as a joint project of Week of Prayer for World Peace and the World Peace Flame Foundation. Soil, sand or stones from every country in the world have been placed under the path, many from places of special significance. At the centre is a solar-powered World Peace Flame light, symbolising the healing light of peace, shining onto the whole world. And the words for peace in many different languages are carved into the outer circle of the pathway. The pathway is really being used by schools, and tomorrow, Monday the 16th of October, there will be a really special event with 30 school children aged 10 gathering at Kingsley Hall with their teachers to focus on peace during the week of prayer. 2 further groups of 30 children will do this on subsequent days.
Thank you, Jen. Now Anne will share with us some words to ponder.
The first lesson in becoming a peacemaker is to stop being at war with myself. When I have learned to be gentle with myself, I can be the same with others. As a peacemaker, I am aware that with respect for myself, relationships with others can be real and true. Respect always looks beyond mistakes and weaknesses and affirms the innate goodness in us all. When I have the consciousness of peace within me, then I can truly speak and act with love. Therefore, I radiate love and peace from my heart into the world.
Thank you, Anne. Now, Theo was the recipient of the Hinks Peace Award in 2019. He was awarded this for his work in Burundi with returning refugees, having himself fled as a refugee in the early 1990s as a very young man. He sent us a speech which was read at the gathering in 2019, but with the wonders of technology, he is able to join us today to give us a very brief update on his work in Burundi. Theo, would you like to unmute yourself?
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to be able to join you, and thank you for inviting me. You've already really introduced me. I work for an organization called Rema Burundi, and it is a local NGO that works for peace in Burundi. Part of what we've been recently doing have been really to deal with the legacy of war in this country. And one big problem has actually been structural violence. Really, after many years, many decades of war in this country, and most of it not even reported on the mainline media, we have realized that many people ended up being victims of structural violence. And this part of what we have been doing has been actually to help people recover, for example, their land that was taken away during war, either by their relatives or by powerful people in the government, or by other people had been given that land by either political or big people, but all this with the blessing of the government. So we've been helping people to be able to recover those lands, especially through dialogue. dialogue can achieve what the court of law might not be able to achieve. Dialogue leads to a win-win situation where people can sit together and agree, because we are having a situation where even the second land owners, those who are believed to have taken away the returnees' land, are actually children or grandchildren of the original parents or grandparents who took away that land. So they are equally victims of the same injustices that has been entertained by the government and by former people in the big political positions. So dialogue can achieve a lot because it leaves the two parties with the sense of satisfaction. It leaves them with the sense of having expressed themselves and having been listened to. And in most cases, it leads to very innovative solutions, which can't be found actually in a court, because in the court you either lose or gain. Through dialogue, you feel listened to, and you can discuss what is best for you, and you feel you are all beneficiaries of the dividends of the outcome of that dialogue. That was one of the things that we've been trying out, and we've seen that most cases that are resolved through dialogue are hardly appealed against. They take shorter time, and they leave the two parties with a big sense of satisfaction, and they feel they are valued, even if, rather than being a feeling that they have been victims of war and those bad structures that were put in place. We've also been realizing that there are so many people, apart from land, who had been displaced as a result of climate change. In Burundi, almost 100,000 people every year are either partially or permanently displaced. But really what we've realized is not just all about climate change. It has something to do with corruption, with bad land governance, with bad urban planning, and with bad constructions, and the laws that do not protect everybody. And in most cases, these floodings are actually taking the property and the lives of the poor people, those who are less fortunate, who live in wet places that are not supposed to be inhabited, but who have no other choices, but who are pushed by the unfortunate situations of bad governance to those places that nobody else would like to live in. And so they become victims, generally referred to as victims of climate change. But really, if you go deep, you realize that they are victims also, and mostly, of corruption, bad governance, and bad planning. So we've been addressing these questions and looking after the lives of those who have been affected, but mostly being involved in policy making and the policy influencing, so that these policies may be fair and may create flourishing communities, rather than thinking that we can actually build a small island and oasis of peace in the midst of a suffering nation and suffering neighbors. So in short, this is what we've been doing. I don't know how much time I had, and I couldn't go deeper and deeper. I may end up taking much of your time, but addressing the root causes of troubles, dealing with social injustice, with structural violences. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Theo. And you've highlighted for us an area of the world that many of us do not hear often about. Thank you, and thank you for your continuing work. We now have the lyrics from a song by Frank Kahn, read to us by Sue.
I'm going to read rather than sing what is a hymn by Fred Kahn, who was a clergyman of Dutch origin, a prolific hymn writer. He was born in 1929, and he died in 2009. And this particular hymn was written for the 1986 Bread and Bombs event, which was organised by the Campaign Against the Arms Trade. So it was written especially for that event. You gave us, God, this earth to hold and cherish, to praise you in our use of time and space. But blinded by our greed, the people perish. We throw the gift of freedom in your face. As with unhuman madness we offend you, and with our bombs and bullets break your heart. With money made from conflict, we unfriend you. We tear with prejudice your world apart. We glorify the sin of pointless dying through mines and missiles poised in soil and sea. Perfect the curse of daily crucifying the Prince of Peace, each other, you and me. Raise up amongst us prophets who will guide us through action, speech, and silence to your peace, where fear, mistrust no longer will divide us, where hurt is healed and captives are released. Renew in us our faith and trust in Jesus, the man, the woman in your image made, and speak again your word that truly frees us to beat our sword into a simple spade.
Thank you, Sue. Sarah Percival is a storyteller and for many years served on the Week of Prayer for World Peace Committee. This year, she has done a story for us. And again, this was recorded a few weeks ago, but it too is very appropriate for today.
I'd like to tell you a North African story, a Bedouin story, about two friends, Nabek and Dagar. Now, Nabek had a horse. He was very proud of this horse. It was a wild creature, but absolutely beautiful. It had a flowing dark mane, it had chestnutty skin, it could run like the wind. Dagar, he didn't have a horse, but he worked very hard. And over the years, his admiration for Nabek and Nabek's horse grew and grew. He used to watch them ride out way over the desert sands. It was a thrilling sight. And he began to realise this horse was a very special horse. And whenever he looked at anyone else's horse, it just couldn't touch Nabek's horse. He just started to obsess about the horse. He desired this horse. It was the only thing he'd ever wanted in his life. He worked hard and he saved a bag of coins. One night, he went over to Nabek's tent. He put the coins down. "I want to buy your horse," he said. Nabek just stared at him. "My horse?" he said. "My horse is not for sale." But Dagar was insistent. "Look, there's more money. There's more money if you want it. Just name your price. I'll pay you anything." Nabek said, "No, I couldn't possibly sell my horse. The idea is ridiculous. Go away, Dagar. No one will ever buy my horse. It's not for sale." Well, Dagar went home. Of course, he couldn't sleep. He tossed and he turned. He was just determined. It was the only thing he ever wanted in his life. And in the night, he came up with another plan. He took soot from the fire and he rubbed it into his face. He dressed in rags and he covered his head with an old dirty cloth. He went out into the desert and he lay down in a place where he knew that Nabek would be riding the next day with his horse. And sure enough, at dawn, just when the air was beautifully cool, he heard the sound of Nabek's horse coming towards him. He started to groan and cry out. And Nabek saw this bundle of rags. He thought, well, it must be a beggar in some distress. And he went up to him. Dagar, of course, was completely unrecognizable and groaning and moaning and crying out. And Nabek picked him up and he put him on top of the horse, ready to lead him back to the settlement for help. But as soon as he was on the horse, Dagar kicked his heels into the flank of the horse and the horse shot off. He went quite some distance and then he turned the horse round and he shouted, "Nabek, it is I, Dagar. By Allah, this horse is now mine." Nabek said nothing, and the sound of the wind blew between them. "Do you hear me?" said Dagar. "I swear to you that now this horse is mine." Eventually, Nabek spoke. "By Allah," he said, "Dagar, by Allah, this horse is yours. But pay attention. There is one thing I ask of you. Please promise me you will never tell anyone how you came by this horse." Think about it. If people knew this story, what would happen? Would friends still trust each other? Would people help those in need? Would they comfort each other? Think about it. Promise me, never tell anyone how you got this horse. Again, there was silence. And slowly Dagar dismounted the horse, took the reins, and walked towards Nabek. He put the reins in his hands. "Forgive me," he said. And the two of them turned and walked back to the settlement together. That night, in Nabek's tent, they cooked together. A wonderful meal. They sat and they ate together. And at the end of that meal, they turned to each other and they promised to always be good, true, and loyal friends.
I'd now like to ask Sue if she can read. This year, for the first time, we included in the prayer resource contributions from children, and this is one from our prayer resource. Sue?
Lord, we pray for peace in the world, protecting those who suffer in wars while protecting their families. We thank you for guiding them to safe places where they won't get hurt. Amen.
We now have a recording of a song sung by Dawn Paris that was sent to us by Cather Hashmi, who is on the committee, but unfortunately cannot be with us today.
One second, please. Create in me a pure heart.
I would now like to ask Rebecca if she will read for us this prayer from the Baha'i community.
O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. In thy holy presence they are all thy servants, and all mankind are sheltered beneath thy tabernacle. All have gathered together at thy table of bounty. All are illumined through the light of thy providence. O God, thou art kind to all. Thou hast provided for all, dost shelter all, conferrest life upon all. Thou hast endowed each and all with talents and faculties, and all are submerged in the ocean of thy mercy. O thou kind Lord, unite all. Let the religions agree and make the nations one, so that they may see each other as one family, and the whole earth as one home. May they all live together in perfect harmony. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. O God, establish the most great peace. Cement thou, O God, the hearts together. O thou kind Father God, gladden our hearts through the fragrance of thy love. Brighten our eyes through the light of thy guidance. Delight our ears with the melody of thy word, and shelter us all in the stronghold of thy providence. Thou art the mighty and powerful. Thou art the forgiving, and thou art the one who overlooketh the shortcomings of all mankind.
Thank you, Rebecca. This year, the Week of Prayer for World Peace has been pleased to join with the Iona community and the Alignment Interfaith Contemplative Practices in an exciting addition to the Week of Prayer for World Peace. I would now like to ask Claire Sibley from the Iona community to tell us about it, and then Margaret Summerfield will show us how to access the platform and give us an example of one of the videos. Claire.
Thank you, Sue. So the Iona community, some of you may know, is a dispersed ecumenical Christian community. We now have a global reach, with centres on Iona in Scotland and Mull. Our founder, as you so rightly say, as we rightly say at the start of our Week of Prayer for World Peace leaflet, our founder George MacLeod wrote, "Where people are praying for peace, the cause of peace is strengthened by their very act of prayer, for they themselves are becoming immersed in the spirit of peace." So he was the founder of the Iona community back in the 1930s, and we have developed a very strong commitment to peace throughout our history, and we continue to pledge to working towards peace and to opposing the use of weapons. One of our newest initiatives is to look at how we might meet and work and collaborate with people of other faiths and traditions. And so a group of us who are looking at this, we're excited to approach the Week of Prayer for World Peace to develop this new digital resource, which is being offered for the first time. I'll leave Margaret to say more about this, because it's really been her extremely hard work and conscientiousness and contacts with people from other traditions that has allowed this to develop. But the platform essentially is a platform which opens up a space for a reflection or a prayer or a song on each of the days of the Week of Prayer for World Peace. So I'm going to hand over to Margaret now, who I think is going to say a bit more about it, and will share her screen.
Thank you so much, Claire. It is such an honor to collaborate between these three organizations here, the Iona Community and the Week of Prayer for World Peace and Alignment, Interfaith Contemplative Practices. I'm Margaret Somerville, and I'm the Director of Alignment. And we have been working for 7 months together, these three organizations, to bring this new digital platform, as Claire said, to this initiative. And we are just delighted to share this with you today and to launch this digital platform today. So I've put in the chat the link that you can go to find this. This is also all over social media. It is on the Iona Community website as well, but this is the direct link that I've put in the chat. So there, what you will find when you go there is the 8 days of the Week of Prayer for World Peace. Each day, there is a prayer offering from a different tradition. So it is our hope that we encourage those who are seeking peace for all humanity, not just to pray for those of other traditions, but to pray with those from other traditions and to embrace the prayers in these other traditions in their words and in their ways and in their languages and in their understandings of how the divine has being in their lives. So I'm happy to show you this platform today and to show you that day 1 is now open. And if you go to this website, and you can share this with your communities, the prayers will open day by day. So if you click on day 4, it's not going to open for you. Only day 1 is open now. So on day 1, we'll see that our prayers are from the Jewish community. And this is Hazan, which is a cantor, Harold Messinger and Caroline Freewald, who are offering this prayer today. So Sue, if we have time, can we play today's video? Okay.
Yes, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Harold Messinger, and this is Caroline Freewald. We are representing Congregation Beth Am Israel in Penn Valley. And we're happy to sing this prayer for you and with you called Gesher Tsar Me'od. The whole world is a narrow bridge. It's a quote from medieval rabbi, Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. And Kol ha'olam kulo, the whole world is a narrow bridge, but the essential thing, ha'ikar, lo lefached klal, that we shouldn't let fear overwhelm us. And so, here we go. Gesher, music by Rabbi Yosef Goldman. As I walk along this very narrow bridge, I will not be afraid, knowing you are with me. As I walk along this very narrow bridge, I will not fear, knowing you are near. The icon, no le parfait, no le parfait.
And so tomorrow, a new prayer, a new tradition, and we hope you will engage with these and enjoy this resource and share it widely. Many thanks.
Each year at the annual gathering, we have an opportunity to hear from this year's Hinks Peace Award recipients. The award is made annually in memory of two of the chairs of the Week of Prayer for World Peace, Gordon Wilson and Sidney Hinks. It recognizes the many ways people are working for peace at the grassroots level. This year, the award goes to David and Lyn Morris. Their nominator wrote, "Their dedication and energy in setting up the Journeyman Theater and traveling throughout the country has been outstanding, a project dedicated to peace and social justice." And we'll now hear a bit about their work from Lyn and David.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to start with a quote from the 1987 New Zealand peace testimony, much loved by Quakers. "The places to begin acquiring the skills and maturity and generosity to avoid or resolve conflicts are in our own homes, our personal relationships, our schools, our workplaces, and wherever decisions are made." I think we all know that peace isn't an absence of conflict. It's an active engagement with tricky situations in the knowledge that all will be kept safe because room for dissent is already an accepted part of the process. Peace for us is not universal agreement, but universal acceptance that whatever decisions are taken or solutions reached in a conflict or a disagreement are genuinely made in the best interest of as many people as possible. A peaceful school playground is not necessarily one where everybody's playing nicely and there are no fallings out. It definitely is a peaceful one if individuals are using their people skills to find ways of resolving conflict in a non-violent way and soothing hurt feelings as part of that process. The way of making theatre and of making peace isn't formulaic. It can be messy, seemingly unproductive and ungainly, and it's ongoing. The process of creating a new piece of work from scratch is organic. The work never completes as it's constantly in a state of change, as it adapts and the people involved gain fresh insights. It's been said so many times before, but it's worth repeating. Peace is a process, not a destination. It's not an end in itself because there is no end. Once the parameters are in place, that process needs to be maintained and constantly fed. Likewise, in theatre, we say that process is all, that the excitement, the frustrations, challenges, discoveries, problem solving, they all happen during the preparation time before a production even reaches the stage. The well-known theatre director, Jonathan Miller, believed this so much that he said that by the time a play reaches its opening performance, it's already a dying star. So we cannot afford for peace processes to reach a final point. That way lies the danger of complacency and the risk of reverting. When we, as journeymen, built our theatre projects, we were frequently at odds with one another about the form the work should take, where edits needed to be made, whose writing would bear the brunt of the cuts. These could be exasperating and infuriating episodes where neither of us wanted to give ground, both convinced we each had the stronger vision. We'd then enter a period of keeping ourselves to lick our wounds and reflect. The resolution would always come when we allowed each other space to talk and listen. Compromise was not enough. With compromise, you might both come to an understanding, but one might win and the other lose for the sake of moving on. We needed to reach collaboration, where people work together creatively to find a solution that feels right. In this case, both of us understanding that the project itself was more important than either of us.
As theatre practitioners specialising in human rights theatre, we did have certain dilemmas to address. For one thing, drama has to have seeds of conflict within it in order to create the essential dramatic tension. And for another, creating plays where a range of points of view are all given equal weighting isn't going to make for gripping drama. If a balanced argument is what is required, then maybe a lecture or a book might be a better medium. This is not always sat comfortably within our Quaker framework, wherein Quakers love to experience a balance of opinion. Then there's the desire for resolution, for atonement even, for a sense of hope and some pointers for a possible way forward. With so many of our projects, this way of concluding a play did not ring true or fit with a sense of dramatic integrity. Indeed, with certain difficult projects, such as Feeding the Darkness, dealing with state-sanctioned torture, dealing with the complex issue involved, and the true story of our Chechen refugee friend in the play The Bundle, it would have felt like a disservice to those involved in real life. So no, we didn't generally provide an easy ride for our audiences. What we do know is that we have provided is a safe space for contrasting views and an opportunity for people to be heard. Our range of characters were developed as conduits for raising difficult issues and asking uncomfortable questions. The people we have played have frequently been drawn from real life and have often been those who wouldn't normally have a voice or a public platform. Sometimes these were voices an audience would prefer not to hear. And therein lies the power of human rights theatre, bringing people into contact with albeit fictional individuals whom they might, in a real life situation, choose to run a mile from. Then there is the vital importance of storytelling. We humans love a good story, and the sense of being gathered collectively to share in a powerful story goes back thousands of years in the human psyche. Recognition and relationships are at the center of a shared theatre experience. With intimate theatre such as ours, we knew we needed to bring our audiences into the story to encourage them to connect with the human dilemmas and to sense the familiarity of strangers. Our audiences became part of our performances and therefore, in many instances, saw the issues as not distinct from themselves, but directly connected to each and every one of us. In other words, we try to bring the existential into a reality in the room. This is, we believe, central to the process of peace.
We've often said that our work in prisons, performing and engaging with prisoners and chaplains, has given us the most satisfaction. A room full of prisoners can be one of the best audiences ever, with their levels of attentiveness and enthusiasm for the work. Entering a prison as journeymen theatre allowed us access to people for whom human rights had become a very grey area. We learnt so much from the people we met inside, and our resulting play, Backdoor Parole, never failed to shock audiences into a recognition of how far our standards of humanity have fallen when it comes to people who have transgressed our societal norms. This play afforded us the opportunity to bring our audiences into a closed world for at least an hour in their lives, and for them to appreciate the value of being able to condemn the deed, but see the person beyond the wrongdoing.
As the peace process rarely reaches any visible conclusion, so our plays didn't attempt this either. Our final play, Breeding Grounds, deals with the twin issues of population growth and climate change. Beginning as a wife and husband sitcom, it quickly descends into life-changing crises of conscience that shatter the marriage. It always drew strong reactions and even on occasion outright anger, not denial, anger at the implications the climate crisis has for all of us and the unborn. Our work didn't play the blame game. If it had, we would have become part of the problem. That's a function of agitprop theatre, and we don't think we were ever that. We have been able to shine a torch into the dark corners, and each and every performance has been an act of ministry. Thank you.
Thank you both very much, and for all the wonderful work you've done over many years. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd now like to ask Indigit to bring our gathering to a close, and we'll end with a slightly altered universal prayer for peace, which we think better reflects that today peace is something we must all do together. Indigit.
Thank you, sir. Well, thank you everybody who has contributed, and it's been a real privilege to participate. I enjoyed listening to Theo. Well done for getting him to talk to us from Burundi. That's you know, one of the marvels of technology. And we had, you know, listening to it was from USA, Margaret from USA, is that right? That was great, thank you. I loved listening to people from, and we've got people from Uruguay, and it's great. Thank you. I've taken many notes. I've got so much to take away from the meeting, and I will talk about the Interfaith Alignment Project and share that with others. It's a great initiative from Iona community, and I commend you for that, and thank you. I hope that all those prayers will become part of the Week of Prayer for World Peace resource for use, you know, in the coming days, not just in these 7 or 8 days of Week of Prayer for World Peace. And to our recipients of the Wilson Hinks Peace Award, Lyn and David Morris. Wow, what an astonishing work you do, and thank you. There's so much in what you shared with us, and I'll look out for your work. I hope there'll be an opportunity sometime to be present at one of your performances. I'd like that, but we do appreciate the work you do. It's incredibly important, and you are worthy and honorable recipients of the award this year. I congratulate you on behalf of everyone present here and all others who are part of the Week of Prayer for World Peace. Well done and bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, and keep on spreading the word of peacemaking as a not as a way of avoiding conflict, but as a way of engaging with conflict in constructive, creative way. I like the way that you use art and theatre to illuminate peace and the process of peace. Bless you. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. And so we'll see you next year. But, you know, we go into a world. I mean, one of the things that was said was we should not let fear overwhelm us. You know, the more I listen to people from Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, you know, a lot of people live with a great deal of fear in their lives. It's been awful to listen to the agonizing pleas from children, just asking that they might be allowed to live in a world without fear and without war and violence. We have to listen to what children say and do all we can to prioritize making their life safe. So we have much work to do. And as we've heard, peace is not a destination, it's a process, it's an ongoing process. And we all are called to play our part in it. Thank you for all you do. Bless you. You remain strong, and all the strength of God to you.
Thank you, Indigit. And now, while you remain mute, if you would like to join in the universal prayer for peace, lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead us from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. We are hoping to have a number of special activities to reflect half a century of praying for peace with all faiths. If you have not had a copy of the prayer resource for this year and would like either an electronic or a hard copy, then just email www.p21yahoo.com. And I'd like to add my thanks to those of Indigit for everyone who's been able to join us today. If anyone has anything that they'd like to add, please put it in the chat. And we hope you'll be able to enjoy the digital platform this year. And we especially look for feedback. We're only a small committee, and the more feedback we get, hopefully, the better we can offer a service.